Hi there, it's Sam from Pootles.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining me today. Today's project is this one. It's an unusual box. It's got a flat back and it's got a sloping front and it pinches up at the top. Actually an awful lot simpler to make than you would think, and I'm going to show you how to do it. I've got some beautiful new product on here. We've got new designer series paper, new stamp set, adorable honeycomb embellishments. I'm not using those, I'm going to be using something completely different because I'm like that. And it's also not the 4th of January. At least it's not at the point in time I'm filming. But I'm going to show you how to make it. Now, the paper I'm using is from the annual catalogue and it's black and white. I did consider doing a black version of it, but you can't see that on camera, so I'm going with white. So I have, oh sorry my cat chair is so squeaky, the thick Whisper White. It's pressed as smooth as the regular Whisper White, but it's thicker, so you still get the same brilliant stamping on it, but it's great for boxes and stuff. So let me pop that out of the way for a second. Bring in my scoring tool, and your piece of cardstock measures 8.5 by 8 inches, which is 21.5 by 20 centimetres. And we're going to start on the long side first, and we're going to score it at 1 3/4 of an inch, 5 inches, and 7 7/8 of an inch, which is 4.5, 12.5, 20 centimetres. Okay? Turn it round and score it at 2, 3 3/4, oh whoops, don't jump it, 3 3/4, 5 3/4, and 7.5 inches, which again in metric is 7.5, 9.5, 14.5, and 19 centimetres. Okay, now we also need to put some diagonal lines, and if you can see, let me tip that for you, the 4 panels are not the same measurements. There's 1 3/4 and 2 inches. So we've got the 2 wider panels, which are the front and the back, and I do have a template here because I'm very clever. The smaller panels, you've got a long skinny section here down one side, then you've got a narrow, a wide, narrow, wide. The narrow ones we're going to take from corner to corner and we're going to draw a line with a ruler and a pen, because we're actually going to cut from that point. So can you see from there and there, and I will bring my template back in for you because that's in a different colour. So from there to there, and we're going to do the same from there to there, and like I say, these are cut points. So if I bring that in, you could see that better. I don't know that you can see it better. But that is our wide part. So that is actually the front of the box. This is the back. Okay, so we're going to ignore those lines for the minute, but we needed to do them before we started scoring and folding. So come along and burnish all your score lines. And like I say, it was a challenge to make a box in this style, because it looked like it was very easy when I saw this unfolded piece, but actually it wasn't that easy at all. So, okay, so our box is going to fold round like that. So this little loose tab is going to go at the back, and this is the front. So we actually need to remove that bit and that bit and that and that. So let me make that darker so the light is shining on it. So we're going to remove all of those. So we're going to be left with this part at the front, which is this section here. We also need to cut up those score lines and shift out those. Okay. So we're going to do some chopping. I'm going to cut and then I will show it to you again. Oh, we also, yes, like I said, I don't remember if I said that. We need to cut these ones up as well. Okay, so it's all going to fold round like that. Also need to remove that one. Nearly forgot. So we're left with one smaller panel, which is the only thing we're going to stick the side with. Okay, that bit there. So I'll just stop and hesitate for a moment so you can take a look at it. Okay, I'm now going to cut some more bits away. So be brave with your scissors and cut that line. And cut that one. Okay, seeing it now? It's all coming together. I'm going to remove those last bits as well. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll bring back in my template so you can see where I've removed pieces, and that bit is loose there as well. Okay, it will make sense, I promise you it will all make sense. So what we're going to do now is close it up. So I've got my loose tab here, I'm going to run some adhesive down it. I'm just going to have to turn it over because I'm right-handed. And fold that round and it will stick. And that's the back of the box. This is the bottom and this is the front. So where we've got this extra panel at the top, that's the front of the box. So fold in your sides, your back, and glue down the front. And these parts here, now they will, because of the arc and the geometry of the triangle, you can close it and stick them. And that's how you would put your goodies and treats in, and I'm guessing that that's where the sushi roll's at. So you can do that. I have liked, on the varying samples and prototypes I made, I like to glue that bit down, but there is still plenty of room. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a mini glue dot to stick those two bits together. And can't see what I'm doing very well today. There we go. So we've got that shape there. So this is the back of the box and this is the front, and that fits nicely like that. Isn't that clever? I think it's clever. Okay, let's grab our hole punch. So I've got my handheld punch, the 1/8 of an inch circle. Try not to punch my finger. My fingernail is in the way. There we go. And then I'm going to grab some ribbon just to close it up with for now. And this is Rich Razzleberry, which I love. And it's a colour I don't use very often. I'm not really sure why. I think because it doesn't jump out at my shelves, or it doesn't jump off my shelves and say, use me, use me. But I'm hoping that it's going to go really quite well with the black and white. So, oh, that was far too much ribbon. Oh, plenty of room for error then with the bow tie. Oh, that's going to be a really wibbly bow, isn't it? Oh, actually, no, it's not too bad. Oh, I think cotton ribbon is my favourite. It likes me. No, it doesn't. Look, I've twisted it. Oh, well. So, oh, God, I've just yanked it open. Oh, it's painful, isn't it? I'm sorry. Let's trim off those bits. And I'm going to wrap my DSP around it. And I forgot to tell you the finished dimensions of it. So it's 1 3/4 by 2 inches by 3 1/4 to that point. Obviously, yes, you could put more in. You could put maybe a bottle or something, you know, a bottle of lotion. But my panel of DSP is 3 inches by 9 inches, which is 7.5 by 22.5 centimetres. And sorry, in metric it's 4.5 by 5 by 8 centimetres. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the back and gently wrap round. You've perhaps seen me do this before if you're a regular watcher of my videos. I don't necessarily believe that everything has to be completely perfectly measured, and when you're working with paper you can just rest it round. So I've just gently laid that round and pinched it a bit So I'm going to come along now and crisp it up a bit. Just to make it, you know, that's, using your fingers and pinching is a terribly Pootles type scientific way of doing stuff. And I've got just a smidge too much that side. So I'm just going to chop it off, and that will go round my box beautifully and close up. And you can either stick it to the box or you can just run some adhesive along the back. I'm just going to run some adhesive along the back. There we go, that's my panelling on at the front. And of course, yes, I have got this new stamp set, which I'm not going to use, but I have, and I forgot to get my note. Did I forget to get my note tag punch out? Possibly, probably, because I can't see it in front of me. Oh, I can see it, yes, I forgot to get it out. It's probably my shoulder just in camera. And I'm going to have a piece of rich raspberry, which I did get out. It's underneath my template. So I'm going to have a note tag in that, and I'm going to have one in white, and I'm also going to do a little bit of stamping, and I've got here the Flower Shop stamp set, which I don't use usually often. I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with actually. That one I think. Let me get my thingy, my block, and so I'm going to stamp that in rich raspberry onto my spare bit of Whisper White. Grab my pansy punch and punch it out. And then I have got a button for the centre of it, so I'm kind of going with my original idea. And I've got the big, do I want the big one or not? Yes, I do. So the biggest one of the rich raspberry. Now, all of our button collections have 6 out of 10 of the colours. So with a glue dot on the back, so I went with rich raspberry. That kind of half led where I was going with this, with the colour scheme. So I'm just folding up the sides. I'm going to do a little bit of layering, and I'm running out of dimensionals, so I'm just going to take an edge piece. And when you're doing offset layering, which is what I'm doing, you put your adhesive down the bit that you want to cover. Glue dot on the back of this, or 2, I have a couple on there I think, on there, and then straight onto the back of that, and again use up these dimensionals. Onto the front, and that is my quirky little box based on a sushi roll box. What do you think? Unusual, different, and actually not that hard to make. And like I say, there's the cut lines. Anyway, thank you ever so much for joining me, and I hope to speak to you very soon. Bye.